All right, everyone. Hello, it's Allison from AllisonReeves.co, and today I have a really exciting video for you guys. This is my first of hopefully many interviews. Today I have Samantha Jaris, who is a client, and she's also a productivity marketing coach at purposefullyproductive.com. She has a pretty impressive story. During quarantine, during COVID, she actually was able to meet or exceed her full-time income and quit her job. I could have said that in a more elegant way, in less than 30 days. And I have a lot of questions for her about how she did it, what she would have done differently, and definitely the struggles and triumphs that have gone along the way. So if you guys want to hear Samantha's story on how she was able to quit her job in 30 days during a pandemic, then just keep watching. All right. Hello, Samantha.
Hello. That intro is epic. I love it.
So excited. Samantha is my first live guest, and I'm like super excited to have you here. And I'm super proud of you and super happy for you. And I can't wait to ask you just a bunch of questions. If you guys are here watching live, make sure to comment in the stream, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, and let us know you can hear us. And definitely let us know what questions you have. So Samantha, I'm just going to run through some questions. We'll keep it super casual. And I'm just going to jump in and say, like, what was your biggest struggle before hiring me as a business coach to kind of start a business?
I love it. So a little bit of background. I had been blogging on and off for about 4 years, and it started when I had my son, who will be 4 this January. And I wanted to stay home and actually like make an income without having to like go to a traditional office space or a 9-to-5. I just knew that lifestyle was like not for me. I didn't want it. So I kind of had been blogging on and off, had bought a couple blogging courses. And then inside one of those blogging groups, I just kept seeing your content over and over and over again. And it was epic. But a lot of the struggles I was running into were that I was doing a ton of work, so much stuff, and not seeing any monetary results from it. So I wasn't really clear on my offer. I didn't really know how I wanted to serve people. I just knew that I wanted to help them in a way that made their lives easier. So that's kind of what I was struggling with before I found Allison.
I'm looking up another question for me. Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great.
Froze for a second.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So like you had purchased other courses, and this is something I run into a lot with entrepreneurs where they purchase other things, and they, like, you had a site, you had some blog posts kind of started, and you'd also been an entrepreneur for a long time. Like, you are in direct sales, so you knew it really enough to be dangerous, but like, where were you getting stuck and actually like getting things off the ground on your own?
So I would say that the first piece of it was just having the confidence in what it was I was offering people and how I was serving them in order to actually take the leap and sell that thing really, really effectively. So that would be the first thing. And then the second would probably be that I knew enough to be dangerous, and I knew a lot about sales. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 7 years. So, doing hard things or overcoming obstacles in an entrepreneurial journey was no stranger to me. Where I was kind of getting stuck was that I knew enough about, making a blog post and putting it in a WordPress site enough to be dangerous, but I didn't exactly know how to make all the pieces fit together or how to do it in a way that was much faster. I was spending a lot of time YouTube tutorialing it, and I was super over it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I remember the first time I talked with you and you were telling me about some of your passions, and I was like, oh, you kind of sound like you could be like a productivity mindset coach. And you were like, oh yes, I could do that. And then we kind of landed on this like productivity marketing side, because that's really where your zone of genius is like helping people actually get more clients.
Oh yeah.
Through automation specifically. Okay. And so what were your goals? You said, and I think you kind of already covered this, but your goal, it sounds like, was really just to like spend more time with your son at home.
Yeah. And ironically, before I quit the job that I left, the one that I was working, it was actually a direct sales job and I was in it for 3 years. And that had always been my goal for me to be able to step away from the business entirely and still make enough money more passively in order to support my family at home. So that was always the goal. But like numbers and details, like I knew I wanted to make more than 10K months. And I knew that I wanted to do it in a way that felt energetically aligned with, who I am and what I wanted to do.
Yeah, totally. And so talk to me about your first offer. And then just to kind of tell you where I'm headed with these questions, like I want to talk about your journey from like having the super first successful month, like basically your biggest income month ever, to kind of like figuring out like, oh, I need to like reswizzle this, like this wasn't working. So tell me about like coming up with the offer and then selling the offer. And then I'll take us into like what happened next.
I love it. So when I first started working with you, basically we had like come up with, productivity mindset coach. That totally makes sense. I loved the mindset piece of it because it really affects more than just your business. It affects your life too. And if you don't have that foundation piece in place, it kind of like jumbles with the rest of your sales and your marketing. So I was really, really passionate about that. So I created a program to help people simplify the heck out of their business, and particularly like their marketing, like how they talk to clients, some of the mindset stuff and how to be a CEO. And I wanted it to be scalable. So I was like, well, let's just make it a group program. Let's do it for 3 months. They go through this program week to week. There's a lot of community, like all of the things that I was hoping to build in a long-term business. I was like, let's just do it right at once. That sounds great. So I did some market research and it sold it to, a handful of clients. I think my first month was like $7,600, which right out of the gates was mind blowing. Like that was more than I had made in the last 6 months.
Wow.
At my last job month to month, which is nuts.
That's crazy. Yeah. And so you like had an awesome month on fire right out the gate. And then we kind of had like a little struggle. So talk about like what happened next.
I love it. I like to think of it as like the success hangover, or like, that would probably be the best word for it. So basically I was super, super pumped. I sold 3 clients, which was, the $7,600 more than I had ever made in a month ever in my life, including at my direct sales job. So I kind of went through this period of like, oh crap, how am I going to do that again? Like, I didn't know if it was possible. I didn't really trust myself a whole lot. I didn't know like where to go from there. Like I had sold these clients. I was like, great, now I can serve them. And then I was like, oh, I don't really know what to do next. So it was like kind of this weird in between limbo. And it was also like this growth plate that just needed a little bit of time to catch up to itself. So it was an interesting transition for sure. But then that second month, I hardly sold anything, at least for the first 3 weeks. Like it was nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you finally picked it up at the end of the month. But right. Like I remember I had something really similar happen. And I talk about this a lot where like my first 5-figure month was $14,000. And the next month after that, I made exactly $0. Now I was also working a part-time job that was super stressful still, but I definitely have learned, luckily your hangover was like 3 weeks, whereas mine was like 2 months. But definitely like, what did you do to get over that mindset piece that like what finally helped to build the momentum again?
Yeah. I think that the most important piece was just getting back to being true to myself, like true to myself in what was good for my business, but also what was good for me personally. I worked a lot on my mindset because that had kind of, those habits I had in place had kind of brushed to the side a little bit. But I think that was probably the first thing I did was work on my mindset, like know that abundant is great, that more things are coming, and that just because I didn't sell anything in that 3 weeks or a month, like doesn't mean that I wasn't going to be able to at all. So I had to kind of rework the thoughts in my brain that were lying to me. And then the second piece of it was I did a lot of deep digging and just asked myself, well, do I like what I like? Do I like this? What is it about this energy or this feeling that doesn't quite feel right? And I kind of just had to do an audit about all of the things that were going on in my business, and just evaluate it. Like, is this good for me? Like, is this true for me? should I keep doing this? Is this the best way to do this? Like I kind of just did it like a really deep look at like what it was I was building and how I wanted to do it, if that makes sense.
Totally. And so, so did you have any, before hiring a coach and like when considering your options, like what reservations did you have? And did you look at other options for coaching or programs?
So before I had signed up with you, I had looked at a couple of other coaching options and things like that. When I was in my direct sales business for the 3 years prior to doing this fully online, I had always had a coach. Like coaching was something that was very natural to me because I knew that it would get me from where I was to where I wanted to go that much faster. Like it shortened that timeline dramatically and it actually helped me grow better, like in a more holistic way, if that makes sense. So I knew that when I was trying to quit my job and actually go all in on the business I wanted, I needed a coach to help me because it would keep me on track. And then the next piece of it was like, okay, well, where does it come from? So I looked at courses and I was like, it's a lot of work. And I didn't know like if there would be enough feedback coming back. Like I didn't know. And then I looked at like a couple other coaches and it just didn't feel right. Like it didn't fit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And so what made you decide so this sounds like this was kind of the higher touch approach you were looking for.
Yeah, I think I knew that I needed someone to hold me accountable to stuff and also be a cheerleader, but be like for real with me. Like be like, dude, just do this. Or like, or like, dude, knock it off. Like you're freaking, like, just keep going. Like you're doing great. Like I guess I kind of knew like what kind of coaching style I like. And so I guess that's where I had an advantage. But also I knew that what you were doing was what you were preaching or like selling was also how you were running your business. And I saw that and I was like, that's what I want. That, you know, every role model should be something that you aspire to be. And I was like, that's goals. Right now. Allison is goals. So I knew that I wanted that higher touch, like one-to-one support. And I knew that you would be able to help me with that and get me off the ground so much faster than if I were to do it all by myself.
Yeah. It totally makes the difference working with someone who you can like watch for a while and see like, oh, I do like that the way that she, because if I run my business in a way that you hate, it's probably not going to be a really good fit.
Yeah. And I watched you for a year. Like, when I met Allison, I had just bought this course and I was working through it and I didn't really kind of know what I was doing. And she was just blowing up. Like her business was exploding at the time and it was kind of evolving into what it is now. But I wasn't ready for it yet. Like I wasn't ready to leave my direct sales job, which was very, very high intense energy and a lot of time commitment. And then I watched the progression from your growth. And I was like, she's actually someone that I would want, you know, pouring into me just as much as she's poured into her own business. So yeah, a whole year. And then I decided it was time.
I love it. So funny. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when did you start noticing, like, so we started using like social selling and content and me eventually kind of rope in a blog. So when you started using the social sales and really like my superpowers, like using content to make money essentially. So when did you see that start working for you?
So I always am a fan, like you have to trust the process and you have to execute the process consistently for you to see results. So by the time I actually like figured out what my offer was and started promoting it and talking about it and actually taking action on the things that we had talked about or worked on, it was probably a couple of weeks into us working together. And then that's when I started closing sales. That's when I, you know, had that $7,600 a month. And then over the last few months, like it's just been more results, like more consistency. We've started working on, you know, my offer changed from, you know, doing a group program to realizing that the people that I want to serve, they literally don't have time for that. So it turned into more of a, you know, done for you offer where I just, you know, help them set up all their marketing and say, okay, here you go. One less thing you got to worry about.
to the point where I'm now a client, which I'm going to pay that invoice, by the way. Don't worry about it.
Cool. I just
So what Samantha does, for you guys who don't know, and we haven't really gotten into specifics, but she's literally like automates your marketing and your lead nurture. So I think early on in your business, at least for me, I'm so used to like building the plane as I fly it. I don't necessarily always start with systems, but Samantha starts with systems. And like I've systematized a lot of my business just by being inspired by you, even before I hired you to work on that Allison's notebook project, because I'm like, I just realized once my income started picking up, like the thing is, the more you grow, the more things break if you don't automate them.
Oh yeah.
So Samantha's like, she prevents things from breaking. So have you
Maybe
achieved
all the things?
Not all the things. Some of the things. So did you achieve your goals?
So far, we are on track and headed in the right direction. And it's been so freaking much fun to work with you. Like, I am on track right now for my first 10K month ever, which is super awesome because this is only our 3rd month working together, which is mind-boggling. Like, I never expected to be able to quit my job in a pandemic where the world was like completely shut down. People are losing jobs, like all this craziness, and to be able to actually have fun and build my dream career the way I want to. Totally on track.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Let's see. I have like a list of questions, so I keep looking over here, but I don't know. I think I'm going to go off script.
I love it.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of these questions are good, but they're all kind of like, how great is Allison? So I kind of want to ask you more specifically, like, what advice do you have for entrepreneurs? Kind of like giving advice from your zone of genius. Like if people want to do what you've done, like what do you recommend? And not just like hire a coach, but like what do you wish you'd known 3 months ago, or even like a year ago, like that you want to share with people who are watching?
So the biggest piece of advice, and it's probably super cliche and very well repeated, but until I started showing up entirely as myself, and I started being really in tune with the things that I was feeling and what I wanted my business to look like, regardless of what anybody else had to say, and regardless of, the advice and like the coaching and everything is great, but if it wasn't in line with who I was or who I wanted to be, like I stopped caring about like that opinion in my brain and in my business. So I guess that would be the thing. Like 1 year ago, if I would have just shown up as myself and been really true to myself about things, I probably would have quit my job like 2 years ago or something ridiculous like that. Like, but at the same time, like you have to be true to yourself in that, like all of the things you've already experienced, that was part of your growth story. Like take that knowledge and apply it to what you're doing now. And, your authenticity comes out in your marketing. It comes out in how you show up for your business. It comes out in, the kind of business you run. And ultimately, that's the one thing in the business world that you can control is yourself and how you react and how you show up. That makes sense.
I love that. Yeah. That's really great advice. So I love what you said, showing up authentically as yourself. And that is part of what finally helped you, is like, I think you felt shy about being like this powerful, bubbly personality that you are. And when you stepped into that, you started attracting the right people. And then I love what you just said about like the only thing you can control is yourself. And I feel like you kind of showed that even through this like $7,500 a month or $7,600 a month. And then what did you call it? A success hangover. And then recovering from that. And then I'm sure you relate to this, but what's happened for me is the success hangovers get shorter. And I learned like better self-care for the hangover. Drink lots of water, get a lot of sleep, eat something heavy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I think it also comes from like a lot of work mentally, like that success hangover. The reason it keeps getting shorter is because you keep learning and then you apply that growth to the next time you do something. And that little piece of growth, like it stacks like exponentially and it helps you shorten that hangover. So, over the last couple of weeks, like it's been interesting being at home more and more. And then my son's going back to school and like all of these things. And so it's been interesting to just like observe my emotions and how like the business is running for me right now as I'm taking on client work, as I'm doing new things and like kind of pivoting and taking on this new done for you pivot as a new direction. I think that made sense, but yeah, it's interesting. I'm just flipping the script of how I feel about things and, letting go of old things and embracing the new challenges is fun.
Yeah, it's a constant effort.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, very good. Is there anything else you want to share? Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Done For You offer, and then I'll kind of wrap it up from there.
I love it. So I have only a handful of one-to-one Done For You spots open for October, but basically what I've been doing is helping people simplify, automate, and market their business in a way that's really, really plain and simple. It's literally my name, Sam, Simplify, Automate, Market. But what we do is we go in and we take a look at your social media, and we simplify it, help you repurpose the things that you want to talk about, and actually bring leads in with attraction marketing. Then we automate it as much as we can, including your email lead nurtures and things like that. We go through your sequences, your automations, make sure everything is optimized the way you want. And then the market piece of it is just getting out there and actually helping you close sales and actually get clients from all of this too, in a way that is stress less and really, really simple. Because the last thing you want to do is be spending a ton of time learning new things. It's really just more about optimizing what you already have and freeing up that brain space, which is super, super important, because when you have brain space to think, you actually can do more in your business and show up the way you want. So
yeah, love it. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that was Samantha, everyone. And just to kind of wrap up, I just want to kind of wrap up her story one more time. Samantha came to me as a client who had a lot of like entrepreneurial success here and there, but was in a place where she purchased a lot of courses, wasn't taking a lot of action, had followed me for a while, and then decided to join on as a one-on-one client. We created an offer for her. She had a massively successful first month, $7,600 in 30 days, quit her job. Then she had a success hangover and she had to recover from that, and took a lot of work. And now she's on her way to her first 10K month. So congratulations, Samantha, to you. I love working with you, and I'm so happy for you. If you get to have questions for Samantha after the live, just post your comments and we'll make sure that she responds. Did you have anything else you want to add?
The only thing that I want to add is thank you. I appreciate you having me. I'm so grateful to work with you and to be friends in the online space with you, but mostly just the energy and the value that you put out is so, so freaking awesome to watch and now be a part of. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, I love having you in my community and as a client, and yeah, same. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much, Samantha, for joining.
Absolutely.
And if you hang on, I'm going to end the broadcast, and then I think we'll have a chance to like wrap up and chat or not. But thank you guys again for watching. Make sure to comment below if you guys have questions for Samantha, and we will talk to you all soon.